So yeah, guys, they just released the new cards for the Aphelios package and also some other cards in some other regions. So without further ado, let's go right into it. The Aphelios Champion expansion is available with the release of patch 2.1.0. Which we don't still know where it's gonna hit, probably tomorrow, I guess. Champion expansions are a bit slimmer than regular expansions in terms of the number of cards released, but they'll generally include a collection of cards directly related to the champion headlining the expansion, as well as several cards for other regions. Here's a look at all the cards being released in the Aphelios Champion expansion. Oh, okay, so probably this is, like, we get a patch when Aphelios releases, so like it's gonna be one more week or two, I don't know. So still no balance updates. I don't know what they are doing, guys, but anyways, let's take a look at the cards. So we already saw Aphelios, but I just show them. I just saw you. Probably aren't they a bit too like small? Can we increase the size? Maybe it's more readable. By the way, Aphelios. Nightfall, pick a moon weapon to create in hand. Each round, the first time you play two other cards, create a phased moon weapon in hand if you don't already have one. So like still, I don't quite understand what this phased stuff is. Like what are they doing with this phased? They didn't actually explain that, but anyways, you've cast 4+ moon weapons, so Aphelios only works with himself, I'm guessing. Aphelios quick attack leveled up. Nightfall, pick a moon weapon to create in hand, so same stuff as before. Each round, the first time you play two other cards or round start, so there is the change here. Create the phased moon weapon in hand if you don't already have one, and your moon weapons cost one less. So they basically all cost one. I won't go through all the weapons that you can get from Aphelios because he already has been announced, and also because I don't know where to find them. So Gifts from Beyond, become a weapon to create in hand. So again, kind of the support for Aphelios and these moon weapons, but I don't have much faith into Gifts from Beyond, probably won't see play. I don't know if it is the spell champion for Aphelios, then it's also quite bad if it is, so yeah. But then we see the Flight, 1 mana, 2/1 elusive, so like, just like this card is crazy. Like, 1 mana, 2/1 elusive, like, it's completely OP. Like, imagine something like Precious Pet, like suddenly they can't just block it, with small unit, just small unit. Like they can't block at all. And also it has even an upside, which is Nexus Strike. Draw 1 and shuffle me into the top 3 cards of your deck. Like guys, this card is completely broken. Like 5 out of 5, even like 6 out of 5. Like this card is completely nuts. Like, I know that at a certain point, like, you may hit a critical mass, where, like, your whole deck, like, your whole top deck is filled with the Flight, but, like, again, if you start with the Flight, and you draw the Flight again the next round immediately, like, it is an upside, And, like, again, like, it gets quite bad quite soon, because then your opponent is gonna scale up their play. Patch 2.1 notes are out. Oh. Okay, so like there is the card, and then there is also patch 2.1. Okay, I guess we're going to react to all of them. By the way, hi Runeterra guys, and I already sent the comments to those cards, so you may start working on that, and then I will do also the patch 2.1 notes like reaction, so the balance, I guess. So those, okay. So yeah, the Flight, as I said, very, very broken. As I said, it can, like, your opponent will scale up, they will play 2 drops, 3 drops, and then, like, you may start just continuously playing the Flight, and at a certain point, like, if they have an AoE, then you're completely screwed, and your whole deck is full of the Flight, the top deck, so, like, it can get quite bad quite soon, but, like, again, playing this on turn 1, guarantee 2 damage, you draw 1, also, like, the draw 1 part, like, most of the times, if the Flight hit, like, you're drawing 1 more card for each the Flight that you are actually shuffling, so, like, it's not even that much of a drawback, because you're also drawing 1 more card, and you also add a bad card into the deck, so, like, it's even. So, like, it's just a 1 mana 2/1 elusive with sometimes an upside, which is crazy. So, yeah, kinda looking forward to elusives in Targon. Then we see Starborn, 2 mana burst. If you behold the messenger, so very specific, grants celestial allies everywhere +1/+1. So like I don't know if something with messenger sigil, you shuffle a lot of the messengers, then suddenly they become 2 mana 3/3s, which also draw, so kind of strong. But again, like it's probably a bit too much setup. I could see these as a meme, a lot of doggos, you know, but no, nothing competitive, I guess. Then we see the Sky Shadows, 2 mana, 3/1. When I'm summoned, refill 2 spell mana if you behold a Nightfall card. So I like the fact that it is when I'm summoned, and this is the 2 mana. Like I don't remember actually the weapon for Aphelios, if it's summoned a 2 mana unit with Nightfall. And this itself doesn't have Nightfall. So like it probably won't summon these, or I don't remember if it just summoned a 2 mana unit, and if it had Nightfall then you did something. I don't remember. But anyways, like if you summon these from whatever, like you basically refill its cost, so this costs 0 if you behold a Nightfall card. So like, would a Nightfall deck play a 0 mana 3/1? Like, it's very, very aggressive. So this definitely may see play in some type of hyper aggro Nightfall deck. You play these as a starter, it activates the Nightfall for the following cards. You behold a Nightfall card, so like you probably have it in hand already, so this is the activator for the Nightfall. You refill 2 spell mana, so actually it's not like 0 mana, like this doesn't cost 0 mana actually, because like you're exchanging units mana for spell mana. But like for example, you go for turn 2, you for the Sky Shadows, you start with these, then you play Encroaching Shadows, not Encroaching Shadows, Stalking Shadows, 2 mana, you draw and give 1 ephemeral, a copy ephemeral. So like yeah, it could see play, but it's a bit more, you know, debatable. Then we see the Fangs, 4 mana, 3/2 lifesteal, play, invoke a celestial card that costs 3 or less. So like, if we compare this to something like the Traveler, 4 mana, 3/4, invoke, whatever, instead this has, you know, 3/2 in stats, lifesteal instead, and you also invoke, you gain a bit of value. So like this could definitely see play in some invoke, like only invoke archetypes. I don't think those archetypes are all that good. So, like yeah, I have not much faith in this card. Probably Zoe support, but then like we saw that Zoe doesn't really care about invoking cheap cards, and most of the times like you are already leveling up Zoe, not from you know, invoking those cheap cards, but like from something else. So like yeah, I don't see the Fangs where these belong. Then we see the Veiled Temple, yet another like landmark for Targon. Are we at 3 already? For Targon, probably yeah. What is it? The Starspring, Targon Peak, and then we see the Veiled Temple. Also, probably the first rare one. Anyways, 4 mana. Each round, the first time you play 2 other cards, refill 2 mana, and grant your strongest ally +1/+1. So like this is pretty expensive of an investment, but then like if you look at these, like you will be playing cards anyway, you know. So like you have to play 2 every round to activate this effect, so you probably want to generate a lot of cards, because you know you're drawing 1 card every turn. If you play 2 every turn, then you know you're always reducing your card amount by 1 each turn. So like this is not sustainable if you don't have ways to draw additional cards than needed, or to create additional cards. So like Aphelios will definitely be good at these, because you create more cards, you can always sustain the Veiled Temple, and also like, you know, it reveals 2 mana, which pretty interesting, by the way. First time we see this kind of effect, I think. And, you know, in 2 turns, you already gained back the mana that you invested, and also, like, you gave +1/+1 to the strongest ally. There is also some sort of, like, you know, you can grow up a particular unit very big. I don't know, for example, a Sparklefly, just to say one, you know, something that cares about stats and already has good keywords. Like, there could be some combo potential, but it's pretty slow. The grant your strongest ally +1/+1 is probably a bit more like of a just a side upside that you get, but you're not actually playing this for the strong, like the buff, but for the refill, you know, like it is a mana advantage over time. You're paying 4 in 2 turns that you activate these. You took the mana back that you invested, and then, like, you know, you're gaining it, and it's very good for a control type of deck. And then we see the Sky Charge, which is basically the effect for the stun weapon. Kind of nice art, but yeah, nothing. Like, this is just an effect. You see that it is not collectible. This is just the effect of the weapon. So moving on, Yonya. 3 mana burst, Flurry of Fist. Grant only +1/+0 and quick attack. If it already has it, grant it double attack instead. So like guys, this is no joke, something that could see play, just because this is okay as how can I say it, as a combat trick, you know? Like +1 and quick attack could be a removal, because if they, you know, like you are trading something, instead like you are just value trading your card, you keep it healthy. So like yeah, this first effect is for that, but then like, you know, you could have this card in your deck, for example, for, I don't know, a Kado, the arm, which gives overwhelm to something which has already quick attack, for example, I don't know, Draven, let's say, and then you know, you play the double attack here. I don't know if you still give it the +1/+0 and also the double attack, so this becomes basically a +2/+0, and like, you know, suddenly you can OTK your opponent pretty fast, like really. You pass the first 2 rounds, you play Draven on 3, you play something on 4, you play Kado the arm on 5, you have the 3 mana available because you passed the first 2 rounds, then, you know, you Kado the arm, Draven has 6 attack from the Kado, because it gives him +3/+0 and overwhelm. Then you also give this +1/+0, so it is a 7 with double attack. So like you can deal 14 damage by turn 5, which is kind of interesting. You could also go crazy with something like a Squirrel. Done the new stuff, just need the 2.1 stuff before I upload the video. Yes, just a second, I'm finishing reviewing and then I'm going to write that as well. Then we see Shadow Siles, Gluttony. 3 mana fast, speed spell, kill an ally with Last Breath to summon a follower from your deck that costs 1 more. So like guys, this card could be very, very nuts. Like imagine they want to remove something like, I don't know, an Anivia or Cursed Keeper, stuff like that. Like you can glimpse beyond, basically. This is the type of effect that when they're actually already killing some of your stuff, then you Gluttony instead, you know? So like this is free most of the times. You know, you not only activate the Last Breath, which most of the times would activate anyways, but like you are getting a follower that costs 1 more. So like, for example, imagine going for Anivia, you Gluttony the Anivia when it is going to be killed, you summon a follower, so it's gonna be the Rekindler most of the time, and like, you know, you just for 3 mana summon the Rekindler and another Anivia from the Rekindler, you know? So like that's completely crazy. Imagine if all of that was done in response to a removal to Anivia. So like Anivia was already dying, and then you go for the Gluttony. I don't know if still Anivia, like the target still goes to the Agnivia, basically. I don't know that type of interaction. Probably not. And then, like, this card is completely crazy. But even, like, in more aggressive styles of decks, like Cursed Keeper, maybe you go into... you just have a 3 mana, you just have... what is it? The Undying, for example. Like, you kill the Cursed Keeper, so this is a tutor for exactly the Undying. So, like, you have a lot of 2-drop units, Gluttony and the Undying as your only 3 mana follower. So that could also be a thing. And yeah, like lots and lots of potential for this card, really. Like yeah, nothing much to say here. Very, very good card. Combo, but very good card. Then we see Bilgewater, Powder Pandemonium, 4 mana slow. Summon a Powder Monkey and give a random enemy vulnerable this round for each time you have activated Plunder this game. So like this could be deal 6 to the enemy Nexus from the, you know, the monkeys, and like you're also giving vulnerable to everything, and you are dealing 2 to everything. So like for 4 mana only, like you also have to, you know, waste an attack basically, quote unquote waste, and like, you know, you are dealing 2 to everything and 6 to the enemy Nexus. That's completely broken. Of course, like, you have to plunder all that many times. But yeah, like, this card could actually see some play in some plunder decks. So, like, we could see Sejuani, what is it? Sejuani Gangplank decks coming back into the meta. Definitely, this card is interesting. I don't know if it is that much competitive in this current meta, but definitely this could get a shot. You know, monkey shot. But yeah. Demacia, Molten Breath, 6 mana slow. An ally with Fury strikes the 2 weakest enemies. I don't think this card will ever see play. It is slow, you can't really target two different enemies, it is always the weakest, so like most of the times you don't really care about hitting the weakest enemies. If it was, you can target two different enemies, then that's okay. But since it is the weakest, I don't think this card is good. It is low. Like imagine that for 2 more mana, you could play Judgment, which is, just remove everything. I know it has to be in combat, so most of the times, like sometimes they may not be blocking something. But yeah, like I don't have faith for this card. Then we see Piltover Zone, Stress Testing, 1 mana burst. Remove fleeting from all cards in hand. When I'm discarded, draw 1 fleeting. So like another discard aggro support. It is interesting the first part with remove fleeting from all cards in hand. I don't really know when you would want to play something like that. Maybe like with Chief Machinist Zevi, like you draw a bunch of cards, you don't have actual mana to play all of them. You stress testing, you keep the cards that Chief Machinist Zevi gave you. So like it's a value generation tool. But like I see these more in a discard aggro deck as a discard target. But then like again, even that kind of deck, you most of the times, like I don't really know, but like most of the times it is much better to summon a 1/1 rather than drawing 1 fleeting. Like I don't know if you want to go more into the combo side you need specifically to draw into Jinx or Draven, stuff like that. Then you prefer stress testing rather than Flame Chompers or the Jerry Rig. But yeah, like this is very interesting. I don't know if it is competitive. Then we see freljord, 2 mana burst. Troll Gifts, grant an ally regeneration. If they already have it, grant them +2/+2 instead. This card could break the game, like really guys. Imagine this on Tahm Kench. Imagine this on Soraka. Imagine this on Broad-Backed Protector. Like, this could be the time when we see Soraka... Okay, hear me out. You can't go for Tahm Kench Soraka, because you have to be in freljord, so like you can either go for Soraka freljord, for example, you go for Braum instead, so like Braum with this is also kind of crazy, so like you can have a different version of Soraka Tahm Kench. You go for the Soraka freljord regeneration style of deck with Starspring as a win condition, mainly, or you could go into Bilgewater freljord, you give regeneration to Tahm Kench, but then like Tahm Kench only works with Starspring most of the times. So, like, probably this is more like, and I'm thinking back on it, it is more of like a Soraka Braum support tool. And, like, again, giving regeneration, it's great. Like, I can't think now about, high health units, which definitely would like having regeneration. For example, all the package for, like, Vrina, the card 3/8, sorry, probably 6 mana, 3/8, Overwhelm. When I survive damage, grant me +3/+0, if I remember correctly. So, like, granting that Overwhelm, regeneration, sorry, is very great. On Trundle decks or Braum decks, like, granting that +2/+2 is insane, especially on Braum. So, like, yeah, I see a lot of potential for this card. And also, I'm looking forward to this kind of Soraka, Braum deck with Starspring. We could see a new version of Starspring decks, not only being Soraka Tahm Kench, but also like Soraka Braum. Kinda interested in this card. And then the last card we see is Noxus, 5 mana slow speed spell, Wild Claws. An ally strikes an enemy. If it has Overwhelm, deal excess damage to enemy Nexus. So definitely a very great removal. You have to look at this as kind of a considered strike. Of course, like, you're not striking with 2 units, so like this probably deals less damage than a considered strike. It is slow, which is a huge downside, but then, like, you have also these deal excess damage to the enemy Nexus if it has Overwhelm, so maybe some type of plunder, some type of, aggressive deck, so you want to go for Darius, for example. You remove something and you also deal excess damage. I don't really know if this card will see play. I don't really see where this card could belong. Because, for example, in a Darius, Darrowing, for example, in a Darius deck, like, this is most of the times a removal. And, like, in an aggressive deck, you don't really want to remove stuff. Like, you just want to be aggressive. and you have better tools probably to deal burn damage. But you know, like with Darius exactly, like this could deal a lot of damage suddenly. Like you can look at this as like a 5 mana deal 9 suddenly. For example, like you Darius strike into a 1/1, then you're dealing 9. You know, and I don't know. Like probably it works like if they sacrifice the unit that you are striking, it still deals excess damage because it is overwhelmed. So if it is that, like I could see a burn type of strategy with Darius, you go for Wild Claws, maybe as a 1-off, 2-off, that could be interesting. But so yeah guys, that's it for this card review, and I will see you in the next video.